You're listening to Three Kitchens, a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. Join your hosts, Aaron Walker, Sarah Somasundaram, and Heather Dyer. Guess what they're cooking now?
This episode of Three Kitchens is brought to you by ATB. At ATB, we make banking work for you.
With expert and practical advice in everyday banking and investment planning expertise and management services with ATB Wealth, you can be confident that you're making smart choices when it comes to your money.
We have a history of doing what's right for our clients, especially when times are tough, because ATB was built to help Albertans. For more information, visit atb.com.
Welcome to Three Kitchens. We're back with a new episode. I'm Heather. I'm here with my friends, Aaron and Sarah. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Hello.
Sarah's got a turban on her head, and she's going to tell us our fortunes.
Got a pretty little, it's one of those towels that has the little button at the top and it clasps the towel.
Yeah.
That's right, guys. I'm drying my hair, but sure, I can tell fortunes too. Why not?
Yes,
to my resume.
What's happening this year? Dying to know.
The forecast is good. The forecast is lovely.
Oh, I like these fortunes. You should keep doling them out. They're very positive.
Yeah. You could charge money. Not to us, of course. Ours are always free.
Essentially, we gave her the idea, right, Heather? So I think we claim.
Yeah. So I had to split the profits, is what you mean.
No.
Yes.
Just don't. No. Oh, I was thinking just don't charge us.
Heather had the wrong answer.
Sorry. So what's happening?
Well, new year and a new season of one of the podcasts that I've been listening to just got released. So I'm very excited about that. It's called Fields and part of the Heritage Radio Network. And they talk about urban agriculture and links between food and ecology and so many cool things. They started recording before the pandemic. Right. And so for their first season, a lot of it was pre-pandemic. They have been on a break now for 6 months as they put together all of their next season. So I'm really excited because they just released season 2.
Oh,
so
nice.
Did they create the whole thing, the whole season, and then release it all at once?
No, it gets released... I think weekly. The first episode's been put out.
I see.
But they do a lot of interviewing people in different places that have different aspects of urban agriculture, people who cultivate mushrooms in warehouses in New York City, people who have urban farms in their communities to provide food for people who don't have access to.
Is this all in New York?
They're based out of New York, but they interview people kind of all over the place. Cool. Really cool, nerdy stuff that it excites me. It's like food and science and like the ecology piece of everything. So.
It's because you're cool and nerdy.
It's because I'm
like
cool
and nerdy.
Thank you, Heather.
It's a good combination, if you ask me.
Exactly. You don't even have to you don't have to garden or farm or anything. It's some really interesting information about different ways that you can forage in your own community to find food, farming indoors, hydroponic farming, all that kind of stuff. That would be my recommendation.
Nice.
And what was it called again?
It's called Fields.
Fields. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
On the Heritage Radio Network. So what are you creating for us this week that you're going to share with us?
What's cooking?
What's cooking? You should say, hey, good looking. What you got cooking?
That's right.
Okay. So many years ago now, it feels like a lifetime ago, my husband and I used to travel before we had kids. And when we had we had two incomes and money
used to travel
to go places. Yeah.
Wow. That is a lifetime ago right there, Heather. Mm-hmm.
It feels that way anyways. And we took a trip to Istanbul, and on our way to the Greek islands, we went to Greece and we did a cruise around the Greek islands, but we spent like a week in Istanbul, Turkey before we went to Greece. And I loved everything about Istanbul, the people, the city itself, the sights, the markets, the food was so amazing. And I have this, when you go to tourist sites, and sometimes they take your photo on your way in or whatever, and you can
Oh,
buy
yes.
the photo. It's like a
Of
tourist
course, yeah.
thing. And we typically don't do we don't buy the photo, but for some reason we bought that photo, or maybe it was free that time. I don't know, but I have this photo of us at one of the sites, and for some reason I have it stuck to the bulletin board in the mudroom. So when I go out the door, I always see it there. It's the two of us at this place called Ephesus. I can never say it right. I think it's Ephesus. We'll just call it Snuffleupagus because that's easier somehow. No, I think it's Ephesus. Anyway, historical site. And as I go by, I always look at the picture of us, on vacation in Turkey, and sigh heavily and, remember the days. And it got me thinking when I was trying to come up with the recipe for an episode, I was like, oh, I'm going to do something Turkish or Turkish inspired. So what I've decided to make for you is a Turkish pide.
Okay.
Pide, not a pita, Pita, but a pide, which is not really that dissimilar. Honestly, it must be a similar word because it is a flatbread.
Oh.
So sometimes it's just bread, sometimes it's bread with toppings. And I'm going to do the one that is traditionally a boat shape, like a canoe shape, open-faced flatbread, like your toppings are on top and then it's baked. It would have been in a stone oven or something, probably kind of like a pizza oven, but it's not to be confused with pizza. There's no sauce and there's only cheese if it's a cheese pita. It's not like a pizza where it typically has sauce and cheese and then whatever else.
Okay.
Even though you sometimes see it called Turkish pizza, I think that's just for a frame of reference. Like what are we talking about? But I would call
tourists, maybe.
Yeah. I would call it flatbread because that's essentially what it is. Sometimes flatbread has toppings on it, right? So I think you can get anything on it, and depending which part of Turkey you go to, it's going to vary. It's like street food. Right?
It's that thing that is different everywhere, but the same.
Yeah, exactly. And there's probably depends on restaurant to restaurant, just like
totally
any place, you can put whatever you want on there. So it could be like ground beef or lamb and peppers, or it could be just cheese, or it could be spinach and feta, or it could be just about anything.
Does it look like a pita pocket?
No.
Or does it actually sit with like facing upward?
Oh, facing up. Okay, think pizza. Now that we've said pizza. Sometimes they're round. A pita could also be round.
Okay.
But this traditional shape, I can't remember. I could look up which part of Turkey is the boat shape. But when you roll it out into like an oval, and then when you put your toppings in the middle, and then you sort of fold or roll up all the edges and pinch them at the ends to make like a long oval, like a boat shape.
Oh my God, I love this.
Probably want to slice it. I don't know how big it's going to be. I honestly don't even know how big they end up being exactly. I believe the recipe that I'm planning to follow for the bread makes 4 of them. So that'll tell me how, I guess we'll find out how big it ends up being.
Oh, this sounds like so much fun.
And have you figured out what topping?
I have chosen a recipe for the toppings, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to wait and have you identify what's on it, I think.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's a little twist. This recipe
salted lemons. I pick it now.
Not to sound a bit like Sarah, but it's super simple. I think it's a very simple flatbread dough. It doesn't rise, right? I believe it rests for an hour before you roll it out. So super easy. And then you just put what toppings you want on it.
Oh, this is exciting.
Incredible.
There's another version. I'll probably pronounce this wrong, but there's another version called a gözleme, which is you would roll out a big piece, put your toppings in a very thin amount of toppings, and then package it all up, like fold the dough around it. And then that's fried in a pan. So it's crispy and it's super thin. And when you cut it, I actually made the gözleme before with spinach and feta inside, and it was really delicious. And I was reminded of it over the holidays as I was thinking of this. So I made it for the kids and my husband for lunch last week. And even the kids were like, what is this? It's so good.
Nice.
So the kids who say they don't like spinach ate the spinach and feta gözleme and loved it. So
nice. Oh, this is very exciting.
I hope so. I don't know. You guys when we went to Silk Road Spices, I bought sumac. So the sumac will feature in this somewhere. So that's it. Nice. I told you to be short and sweet. There's not much to say about it, really.
This sounds really good, though. Turkey is on my bucket list. I think anytime I've ever heard people's travels in Turkey just sound amazing, and the food especially.
All the Mediterranean,
really good.
Mediterranean, Middle Eastern influences, right? It's all kind of meshed.
Yeah.
So good. And lots of vegetarian, it seemed like lots of vegetarian restaurants there as well. So we ate quite a bit of vegetarian. Yeah. Like lentils, and sometimes you don't even know what's in stuff. It's like when I was in India, we'd go to like a vegetarian restaurant and I'd be like, what are we eating? Who cares? It's all good. It all tastes good. I don't care.
Pita, is it always like a big family-sized pita, or can you do individual pieces, or did you always see a family-sized one?
They're usually like, I would say they'd serve like 2 people, and usually it's sliced up. And so you wouldn't try to eat this long boat-shaped thing. It would be cut into slices like a pizza slice.
Oh, this is
not trying to land a big long boat in your mouth, like.
No, you cut it up, and there's you can put topping, like extra toppings or dip or whatever.
Oh, this sounds
exciting.
Delicious.
I can't wait to try this.
To snack on.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not describing it very well, but you'll see, like when you eat it, and then from the photos, people will see what I'm talking about.
I had a colleague whose parents were from Turkey, so she cooked a lot of Turkish food, and every single dish I tried, I loved. Mm-hmm. So she was the one who taught me about sumac, actually.
Can someone tell me about sumac? Because I know nothing.
Sarah, go ahead. I've never actually cooked with it.
Sumac is like a really sour seasoning. So when you have something like preserved fruit that is sweet and sour, have you ever, I know Asians love to eat this, or like tamarind candy. It tastes a lot like that, but it's in powder form.
It's often a substitute for citrus.
Okay.
Or not necessarily substitute, but it's kind of like,
it's got a citrus,
like where you want that kind of citrusy flavor, but it's a spice. It's like a plant, isn't it? Sumac. It's like a flower.
It is a plant.
Well, I was hoping you weren't like grinding the bones of children. I kind of assumed it was.
Come on.
Sorry.
I'm gonna get you a coffee mug that says she's holding up her I Heart New York. I'm gonna get her one that says like I am a smart ass, or Queen smart ass, or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a dark rust red kind of color, and it's kind of flowery, kind of citrusy. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you had made mention of it when you bought it, and I had no idea what it was or why you would use it. So.
Yeah, in Singapore, we used to eat these like preserved plums or limes and stuff, and they're dried and they're salted and sweetened, and they taste exactly like sumac.
Oh,
it's like little candies that you would eat. So, again, I'm so excited.
Wow,
something new to add to our menu.
Now I'm gonna feel like I've traveled to Turkey a little bit, and I can just picture your beautiful lamp that you hang in your backyard in the summer.
Oh yes,
and
the cut glass lantern.
I love that lantern. It's gorgeous.
I know, it's so beautiful. And where we bought it was this little restaurant that was like open kind of like to the street in the old part of Istanbul, and they were all hanging from the ceiling, like just like 100 of them in this little place. And at night we'd go there. It was like around the corner from the hotel, so we'd go there for dinner, and it was like all lit up and candles on the table, and so that was the only light in there. And then it's a busy little old town, people coming and going, and just I remember the waiter at one point giving us a blessing, like quite a long, not long-winded, but like quite an evolved like blessing for us to have a son. It's like he was a young guy too. It was kind of funny that because he was asking us about where we're from and do we have kids, and I will it's a blessing on you so that you will have a son. And he was doing this whole thing over our table. We were like, well, it's got to work, because that was something. It was very nice.
That's beautiful. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
I was blessed. He's a pretty good boy. We got 2, but the first.
You have 2 boys, but you're just calling the first one.
Yeah, he was the one that we got
the blessing.
He was the blessed one. The other one was just
How he squeaked by without a blessing.
Perfect.
All right, so join us, and we'll be back to talk about if it turned out. I hope it does.
We're gonna know what this thing looks like and tastes like when we come back. Oh, I can't wait.
Hi there, I'm Brendan, a certified home inspector with Rumi. you have a problem that needs fixing? Whether it's big or small, inside or outside, let me help you find out what's really going on. You can call me by phone, or we can take a look together over video chat. Visit rumi.ca, that's RUMI.ca, and go to Ask a Home Inspector to book your appointment with me today.
All right, Heather, skip the dishes via your husband.
You know what? When he was on the way out the door to deliver food to you guys, he was like, "Hey, just skip the dishes, get tips." I was like, are you suggesting they're going to tip you? Because I think you're out of luck.
I think he asked for some sort of tip or payment, and
Oh,
I really got my kids good because I was making lunch for them, and the doorbell rang, and I went, "Oh, there's my lunch," and they both looked at me just completely gobsmacked, and they were like, "You ordered in?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got skip the dishes." And so it was hilarious that your husband also played along, because as soon as I opened the door, he said, "Skip the dishes. Your delivery's here." And the kids were just like staring at me like, "You can order lunch? That's no
and you made
fair."
us craft dinner or whatever.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah. So they had a good laugh because I totally got them.
And then did you share your skip the dishes order with them?
Not a single bite.
So yeah, even better. That's good.
Tell us about the deliciousness you made us, because as soon as I ate it, I had to know it was in it. You posted the pictures, which allowed me to sneak a peek into what the ingredients were, because I was like, what is in here?
Yeah. Did you guess at all when you ate it?
Yeah, eggplant was the main.
Because it's such a, but I didn't guess that it was that long guy. What kind of eggplant is that?
I don't know. What do you call? I don't even know. It's like the long, skinny one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The long, skinny eggplant.
Long, skinny eggplant. And then the topping with those big bits of coriander seed. Oh my God, that was so good. Whatever you made with the pecans and everything.
Okay, so let me tell you what recipe I used. I found a recipe on rebelrecipes.com.
Okay.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all her recipes are vegan. This is a spiced aubergine pita. And I followed it with the exception of, instead of olive oil in the dough, which would have made it vegan, I used butter.
Okay.
Which is just my preference.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very end, I also kind of put butter all around the bread when I took it out of the oven, which pretty sure is not done in true vegan recipe, but everything else I kept to the recipe. I watched a video on YouTube on a channel called Rafika's Kitchen. And she's a chef who does all kinds of videos with Turkish food and maybe other food, I don't even know, but I just saw lots of Turkish recipes. And I watched the video where she showed making the dough by hand, which I did the way that she had suggested, even though I used the recipe from, just because I thought the proportions to filling, dough to filling might work better if I used the recipe from Rebel Recipes. But I used Rafika's techniques and the way she baked it. And she's just really enthusiastic and kind of fun to watch. So I recommend, if you want to make this or other Turkish recipes, go check out Rafika's Kitchen.
Oh, wow. That sounds so good.
She also had some other ideas of toppings because she made hers with meat. And there's one version where you crack an egg on top and then you bake it so that the yolk is still runny. And so you cut it up and dip it in the egg. And it just looked like fantastic.
Like breakfast pita.
Is this typically a breakfast dish?
I don't think it's typical breakfast, but I could be wrong. Maybe it depends where you go.
Oh, it was so good. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the dough is just flour, salt, yeast, sugar, some kind of fat. I used butter, which was also what Rafika did in her recipe. If you follow Rebel Recipes, it's olive oil and water. You're just kind of mixing it together with your hand in a bowl until it kind of forms a ball. And then I put it out on the counter with some flour and just kneaded it until it came together. And it was super easy, really easy, nice, soft dough.
It looked so gorgeous. Like I was watching your dough making videos that you had posted up for us, and I was just like, this is so soothing to watch. I just wanted to like reach in there and like smush the dough myself.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really easy to work with, and then divide it up. So I believe according to the recipe, she made 4. I did 6.
Oh, okay.
Because I liked that when Rafika did her recipe, she said she likes to make smaller portions so that it's thinner and crispier. And the way she says it is so that you can eat more of it, which I'm like, you're speaking my language. Less carbs so I can eat more. Yes. So I divided it into 6, kind of formed them into balls, put them on a tray under a damp cloth for, I think it said half an hour, but by the time I had made my filling and organized myself, it may have been closer to an hour that they sat.
Okay.
Then you're just rolling it out into an oval, rolled out quite easily, I found, and then put your filling on top, leaving space all around the edge, and then fold it around all the edges, kind of just fold in. They don't cover the filling, they just folded over. Pinch the ends so that your oval turns into a boat shape, like a canoe, and that's how it's formed. So that it's super easy dough. Now for this filling, the spiced, is that what you called it? Spiced aubergine pita. She just said a medium aubergine. So I was like, well, I don't know. I just happened when I was at the store, I saw those nice long, those long eggplants, and I was like, well, that looks good. So I used one of those for this. Could have had more, Frank. I thought could have made more filling. Yeah, like it's not supposed to be tons of filling on here. It's meant to be kind of thin with just some, like, you know, it's not meant to be like loaded, piled high. But I thought it was so tasty that by the end I was like, I want to just pile more of this on here because it was so delicious. Okay, so there's eggplant, onion, and then a bunch of spices. You've got cumin seeds, smoked paprika, cinnamon, chili flakes, sumac. Did I mention tomatoes? There's tomatoes and garlic. And that's basically it. And then at the end, you throw in some chopped fresh mint, little extra sumac, mix it together. So you're just cooking it on the stove.
Yeah.
Letting it sit covered for about 10 or 15 minutes after you've sort of sauteed it together. Super easy just to whip it up on your stove. Watch the little video I made. You can see really easy.
Right.
And then you're just, like I said, you just put that in the middle of your oval shape, fold the edges. So she's saying bake it at 375. But Rafika in her video, she had her oven cranked like high heat and 2 racks, one toward the top, one toward the bottom. And she said, put it on the bottom rack for about 4 to 5 minutes to crisp up the bottom of it. Then move it to the top rack for until it's done, until the bread turns like a golden brown
at the same high temperature.
Yeah. So I kind of followed her technique, but I didn't crank my oven all the way up. I think I put it at 450 though, which is quite a bit higher than the 375 in the recipe. So I guess true to how I usually do things, I was just kind of deciding as I go how I'm going to make this work, and you can do it how you like. But I did like the suggestion to crisp up the bottom first and then move it up so that it's more, it seemed to be even that way, right?
Yeah, that's really smart.
And if you did want to put the egg on top, you would do the lower level 4 to 5 minutes first, take it out of the oven, put your egg on. And if you had smaller bits, like say small peppers or fresh tomatoes or something that you were going to put on top, then put it on the top rack to finish cooking.
How long was it on the top rack for approximately?
I think it was about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes. Yeah, really easy. I mean, so easy. You can't get much easier.
No. Were you able to bake them all at, like, did you do all, well, I guess 6 probably wouldn't have fit at once, but you could do a couple at a time, could you? Or
I did 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Because my oven is fairly small, I can only fit 1 cookie sheet in at a time.
Yeah.
And I put two pita on the cookie sheet at a time. But because it's so quick and your filling's already done and your dough is ready to be rolled out, you can do like 2, serve it up. Like I did 2, I packaged them up for you guys. My husband went out the door. I made 2 more for the kids.
Nice.
And then I made the last 2 once they were eating. So really worked out well.
Yeah, super quick and easy.
Okay, then there were a couple other, and these other items were also from Rebel Recipes, all within the same post. So coconut mint dip. I don't know that it was my favorite, but I liked it when it was all together. So you've got 3 tablespoons of coconut yogurt. Remember, this is a vegan recipe. So if you wanted to use Greek yogurt, if that's what you've got, juice of half a lemon, a tablespoon of olive oil, a clove of garlic grated, pinch of sea salt, and a couple tablespoons of fresh chopped mint. And that's it. Very simple. It's not, I didn't think it was like uber flavorful.
Like it complemented the pita perfectly, but on its own, it was kind of lackluster. I was kind of like, I don't really know. But then when I put it with everything else, I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah. And it doesn't make much. Like I just said, it's 3 tablespoons of yogurt. So I would say maybe make more. I had run out of mint by that point. My husband had picked the mint up at the store, so he got the little packet, the plastic packet, instead of like a big bunch. Maybe that's all they had. I don't know. Okay, and the other thing is called a pistachio.
Okay, was this the stuff that you threw on top?
A dukkha or dukkha. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it.
You've offended Rio.
My dog is barking.
You've offended your dog. She's like, that's not it. You can't say that.
It's described in here as a nutty, crunchy, spicy Middle Eastern dip that you sprinkle on your food or dip your bread into. So I wouldn't say it's exactly a dip, but if you just had bread dipped in, say, olive oil and then put it in those crunchy, that dukkha,
that would be, to them, kind of deal.
That would be delicious.
And so, which website was this from? Sorry.
rebelrecipes.com.
Okay, the same one. Okay.
Yeah, and it's linked to the pita recipe. It's all right there.
Excellent.
Okay.
So it had suggested unsalted pistachios or hazelnuts. I forgot to buy the nuts, but I had walnuts in my cupboard, so I used walnuts. Probably is quite a bit different with a different nut, but anyway, that's what I had. It also has cumin seeds, coriander seeds, sesame seeds. Oh, sunflower seeds. I think I forgot the sunflower seeds when I made it for you. 1 or 2 sprigs of mint, pink Himalayan salt, and chili flakes. So you take the nuts and the seeds, toast them in the oven, chop your mint with your pink salt. I put it into a little spice grinder thing and like chopped it all up. And then you mix it together, throw your chili flakes in there, and that's it. It's very tasty. Like with those seeds,
very tasty.
The cumin and the coriander, really, I thought was really tasty.
I was picking those up off the plate. I was licking my finger and then adding them in because they were so good.
And then if you got your piece of pita, put some of the cucumber dip on there and some of the nuts, the dukkha on there, and eat it all together. It was like,
it was beautiful.
So good. And that's the Turkish pita.
It was delicious. And I love that you can basically put whatever you want in it now that you know how to make that dough, right? But that topping, the dukkha, my favorite, because it was so unique. The taste was so unique, right? Like it almost tasted like a granola, but then you've got that coriander seed in it. Yeah, it was like the savory aspect to it, but then it had that sweetness to it as well. It was just something I've never tasted before, and it was so good.
So
very good.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd like to try making that for the kids for an after school snack. Like, talk about easy. Just, if all that stuff's made up and all you have to do is roll it and bake it.
Totally.
You could even make this for lunches, right? The kids' lunches.
Yeah, I think it would be good
you
cold
made it
probably
small.
too, right?
Totally.
Yeah. One of my kids liked it. The other one wasn't crazy about the topping, the eggplant. So with the last dough, we had leftover, we'd had bacon the previous breakfast, and I chopped up the leftover bacon and just cheddar cheese, and he gobbled that up. He loved that. So you can really put, even if you just want cheese, or do like feta and spinach, or like bruschetta and ground lamb, I think was one of the ones that Rafika made. It was like some kind of, tomato, olive oil, basil that she just whipped up and then put like ground lamb with it. You could have like, they all look delicious. You could put whatever you want on here.
No kidding.
Right.
Is that dough freezable?
Yes, apparently you can freeze it.
Okay.
I had thought of that because I wasn't exactly sure how my ratio to filling was going to work out. And if I hadn't made the bacon, I would have had an extra piece. But apparently you can freeze it and then let it thaw. And then you probably have to add some flour and rework it a little bit and then roll it out.
Okay. I was just wondering if you could bake the whole thing and then freeze it for
probably
later.
I mean, you probably could. Sure.
That's always my thing for lunches. It's like pre-make it and then heat it up the morning of.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely will be making this one. Definite keeper.
Yeah.
Pide.
Very delicious.
I've spelled it wrong like 6 times. So Pide.
That's right.
But pronounced Pide.
It's probably a little bit, my accent is not good, but.
I wanted to ask you, so when you visited Turkey, you had pitas before, right?
Yes.
What filling, do you remember what filling was in those? No, you can't remember.
I don't remember. Honestly, it was
you just remember the shape more than anything else?
or something. It was a long time ago. I remember
bread and
loving
yumminess.
all the food. Yeah, bread with like good stuff on it. I probably didn't even know what it was called. Like, you just go up to like a counter at the market or whatever, and it's like, that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna eat. What's that guy eating? I'm gonna eat what he's having.
Right.
And I honestly didn't catch, I don't think I knew a Turkish word when we were there, because everybody spoke English to us. Right. And they were so quick to speak English that we didn't learn any words.
That's awesome. That was really good. Really good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Easy to make, yummy to eat, customize. Next time I'm putting an egg on mine for sure.
Do it.
Sometimes it's just bread with no toppings.
Oh, okay.
It's the bread. The pita, I believe, is the word for the bread itself.
Right.
So this is just a pita with toppings, but you could have it without toppings if you just want a flatbread. But why would you do that when you could put something yummy on it?
Totally. It would be nice to do like a family night where each one could pick their own toppings too from the fridge.
Yeah, like a make your own kind of night.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I just want to play with that dough. I can't wait to make that dough. It looks so awesome.
And in the video, Rafika, when she's talking about it, her accent is really nice, but she's like, you net it, you net the dough, you net it, and you're just netting and you're netting. And I'm like, what is she doing? And then I figured out that she's kneading the dough. Yeah, it was really, I like listening to her talk too. It's nice.
Yeah. Thank you for lunch.
You're very welcome.
I'll be ordering that again next week and the week after and the week after.
Yeah.
So what have we got up next week?
Sarah, where are you taking us?
We have a really interesting episode next week, and it's going to be a little different. The format's going to be different. It's going to come with a meal that you guys are going to make, and it's going to come with a story. As we're making it, I'm going to tell you a story, a weird story.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing the story.
Yes.
Tune in next week.
As we said. See you next week, guys.
And now for the fine print. We at Three Kitchens gratefully acknowledge we are telling these stories in the traditional territories of the Treaty 7 nations in southern Alberta and the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We honor the rich tradition of oral storytellers on this land who have come before us. You can find pictures and recipe links on Instagram and Facebook at Three Kitchens Podcast. If you like and subscribe on your podcast player, that helps more people find us.
It was really good.